Two Americans found dead in Mexico, what police believe may be the reason and why they expect it to happen again. A Russian soldier surrenders to a Ukrainian drone. We'll look at the stunning video of him begging Zelensky's forces to spare his life. And a Nevada family who says they saw a UFO stands by their story despite the backlash they're getting. We'll hear from them as they search for the truth. That and more coming up on NewsNation Now. Hey, thanks so much for being here. I'm Nick Smith. We're following developing news out of Mexico right now. A popular tourist destination is now a crime scene. Two Americans have been found dead in their luxury hotel room outside of Cabo San Lucas. Right now, police believe the pair died from gas inhalation. Senior national correspondent Brian Enton joins us live to discuss this case. Brian, this isn't the first time something like this has happened, and I have to believe it raises concerns for anyone visiting these resorts.
It does, Nick. This is not the first time local police there in Mexico saying that they believe it is gas inhalation that killed these two Americans. We just now got a statement from the Hyatt Hotel, which is where those Americans were staying, basically saying that they are heartbroken by what happened. They say that police have still not given them an official cause of death, but the Hyatt Hotel there in Mexico saying that violence was not involved. There was no kind of violent activity that led up to these two Americans' deaths. Let me show you the map again, though, to show you exactly where this is in Mexico. It is El Pescadero. That is the name of the town. It's a town between Todos Santos and Los Cabos. Police say paramedics got a report yesterday that the Americans were unresponsive in their hotel room when first responders arrived. The two Americans were dead. They say that there was nothing that they could do. There have been several cases of deaths like this in Mexico recently, mostly from carbon monoxide poisoning. It happens many times when these hotel rooms are not properly vented, and the gas can come from either leaky water heaters or stoves. Take a look at this list. This shows you other times that this has happened in the last couple of years. October of last year, 3 U.S. citizens were found dead in a rented apartment, also victims of gas inhalation. In 2018, a gas leak in a water heater caused the deaths of an American couple and their 2 children. That was in Tulum. And in 2010, an explosion of a gas line at a hotel in Playa del Carmen also killed 2 Canadians and several Mexicans also. So this is a problem that they've had in Mexico. We're working to learn more information. We're working to confirm the names of those 2 Americans, Nick, where they are from in the States, but obviously just a tragic situation unfolding today in Mexico.
Definitely a tough story. Senior national correspondent for NewsNation, Brian Enton. Brian, thank you so much. More than 27 million people around the world are denied their rights because of human trafficking. That's according to a new 2023 Trafficking in Persons report just released by the U.S. Secretary of State, Antony Blinken. This year's data includes 188 countries and territories, including the U.S. The annual report is mandated by the Trafficking Victims Protection Act in hopes that it will address human trafficking and protect potential victims. NewsNation's Joe Khalil joins us live from Capitol Hill to break it all down. Joe, I have to believe this raises concerns for anyone who may be vulnerable.
Yeah, it does, Nick. The report here really eye-opening in the fact that this is a global problem. Internationally, countries are dealing with human trafficking on some level. It's about a 100-page report. Most of it isn't really filled with data and stats. Rather, it's prescriptions. It's ideas on how to curb human trafficking, how to try to prevent it and combat it. And we heard from Secretary of State Antony Blinken shortly after the report was released. He brought up a couple of really interesting points. One is that when you look at the issue as a whole, really it has 2 parts. One is sexual exploitation, which we hear a little bit more about. The second piece of this is forced labor. And I think that piece of this sort of flies under the radar. Blinken talked about the need to really address both of those issues and to knock down stereotypes around victims of human trafficking. The biggest one is that this is a problem that only impacts young girls. That is not the case. Oftentimes it's young men or boys. In fact, Blinken said that over the past couple of years, there have been a 5-fold increase in victims who are boys. So that's something that we need to address as well. Blinken talked about how there are a couple of really successful models that some countries are using to prevent human trafficking, to try to mitigate some of the risks of it. And usually that involves a lot of collaboration, not just from country to country, but from national officials onto state and local officials working together as well.
We simply need all hands on deck. We need law enforcement working to prosecute traffickers. We need social workers providing trauma-informed care to the victims. We need advocates holding governments accountable. We need communities coming together to support the survivors.
So take a look here. I want to highlight some of these numbers from this report that they did have. And this is just victims who have been identified. If you add up all of those numbers, what you end up with is something like 115,000 people. But Nick, I really want to highlight the fact that that number is just a drop in the bucket. 115,000 that have been identified out of 27 million estimated people who are dealing with this problem globally. So when you talk about trying to address it, there's still quite a lot of work that needs to be done.
And Joe, you just dropped two pieces of information I believe will be new to a lot of our viewers, that it's not only young girls who are impacted, and that it's not always about sex trafficking, that it also includes forced labor. Joe, one other thing in the report that I noticed as well, it also talked about that the pandemic may have also had an impact on us, on trafficking.
Yeah, and I haven't read the specifics of that, but we have heard over and over from the State Department that because that displaced so many workers in a number of different parts of the world. Remember, the pandemic impacted countries, not just in the United States. Our viewers see that impact as well, but everywhere. When you displace people economically, jobs are lost, people become more desperate. A lot of the human trafficking elements are there to make this problem worse, unfortunately, and that is something now that as an international community we're going to have to deal with.
NewsNation correspondent Joe Khalil live for us this afternoon. Joe, thank you so much. Well, a third Florida resident has entered the presidential race for the GOP nomination. Miami Mayor Francis Suarez released this ad this morning.
I'm going to run for president. I'm going to run for your children and mine. Let's give them the future they deserve.
Suarez now joins fellow Floridians, Governor Ron DeSantis and former President Donald Trump, making him the 13th GOP candidate to join the 2024 race from the GOP nomination, and also the only Latino candidate for either party. Joining me now is Caroline Vakil. She's a staff writer for The Hill. Caroline, other than a tight T-shirt, what else do we know about the mayor?
Well, Nick, thank you so much for having me with you. So what we do know about about the Miami mayor, Francis Suarez, is that, as you mentioned, he is the third Florida Republican to enter this race. Seen right now is a bit of a long shot and the latest Republican to enter the race. We also know that he has been elected in Miami by very large margins in both of his mayoral races, which is notable given that Miami-Dade County has been trending more Republican in recent years, something he's likely to be bringing up on the campaign trail. We also know from his voting record, something that will likely also get brought up by other Republicans on the campaign trail, that he didn't actually vote he didn't vote in favor of former President Trump in either the 2016 or 2020 elections. He also didn't vote for Governor Ron DeSantis in 2018, but did vote for him in 2022. And so we'll see this as the latest dynamic to shake up this 2024 race so far.
And Carolyn, you mentioned his popularity because I believe both of his elections he won by more than 80%. So it's clear that the residents of Miami like him. But some of the GOP candidates seem to be struggling with how to support or not support the former president during this current investigation. Mike Pence even refused to answer if he would pardon the president. Why the vague messaging from not only Mr. Pence, who served under President Trump, but also the latest candidate to enter the race?
So former President Trump's indictment is a little bit of a political hot potato, you might say, for the other 2024 contenders. As you noted, former Vice President Pence, who was very close to former President Trump for, during the Trump administration years, giving a bit of a vague answer, saying that it's premature to say whether or not he would give a pardon to Trump if he was elected. That also implies guilt, which is why some of the language there is a bit touchy. At the same time, you have contenders like former UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, who's saying she's inclined in favor of a Trump indictment for pardon for Trump, I should say. And so we're seeing this play out a little bit differently because on the one hand, Republican contenders want to be wary of overly defending Trump, seen as their chief 2024 rival, while at the same time noting that they're going to have to court a number of Republicans, including those who are still aligned with the former president.
Caroline, one more question for you before I let you go. We're now at a baker's dozen of GOP candidates. How many more do you think will enter the race?
Well, what I can tell you so far is it seems like the field is starting to solidify a little bit. We have 13 contenders in there so far, as you noted. Any more would have to take into account that the debates on the Republican side are steadily approaching. They're going to need to be able to qualify in order to be on the debate stage. So for any Republicans who are not in the race, those qualifications are going to be top of mind in order for them to make the debate stage and be able to be competitive in the primary starting next year. Not
only the debate stage, Caroline, but also start raising a whole lot of money. Caroline Vakil, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Thanks, Nick.
And a programming note, tonight on Elizabeth Vargas Reports, Mayor Suarez will join Elizabeth live to talk about his new bid for the White House. Tune in at 6 p.m. Eastern right here on News Nation. Now to the White House, where President Biden is expected to meet with companies to crack down on, quote, hidden junk fees. Those are those extra charges you see when you buy event tickets or credit card bills. Well, the Biden administration says these undisclosed fees impact tens of millions of Americans, and he'd like to do something about it. Here's a live look from the White House right now, where the meeting is set to take place in just a few minutes. So far, concert giant Live Nation and mobile ticket vendor SeatGeek are agreeing to be more upfront about their prices. This comes after Live Nation's parent company, Ticketmaster, was criticized for system outages and including hidden fees on ticket sales for Taylor Swift's latest tour. News Nation's Evan Lambert joins us live from outside the White House with more on this. Evan, you and I have bought these tickets. We've seen these extra fees tacked on. I think this affects everyone.
Nick, look, everybody knows this. The president expected here at the White House to meet with those executives from Live Nation, SeatGeek, Airbnb. This is part of his pledge to cut down on what he calls junk fees. And they're the fees that we all know well, the ones that add up when we're online booking concert tickets or travel. He's also expected to tout the moves that some of these companies have already made or the promises that they've made in this arena. For example, Live Nation, the owner of Ticketmaster, agreeing to, by September, put in a tool that shows that all-in pricing for shows at their venues. For the ones that they don't own, Ticketmaster will let customers have the option to see the all-in pricing. SeatGeek is also doing something similar. And Airbnb, they are in on this meeting today because in December, they added a similar pricing tool. President Biden has made this a priority, cracking down on these so-called junk fees or hidden fees, making even a point of it in his State of the Union address.
Junk fees may not matter to the very wealthy, but they matter to most other folks in homes like the one I grew up in, like many of you did. They add up to hundreds of dollars a month. We can stop service fees on tickets to concerts and sporting events and make companies disclose all the fees up front.
And President Biden also calling on Congress to pass the proposed Junk Fee Prevention Act. It would crack down on excessive online ticket fees, ban airlines from charging for families with children to sit together, get rid of surprise resort fees, and eliminate early cancel fees for TV, phone, and internet services. Those are things a lot of us have been dealing with for most of our lives here. So the president is expected to speak on this at an appearance with those executives at the White House at 1:45 Eastern time.
Evan, we've become so conditioned to these fees that when we don't have a fee, we're like, oh, we got a deal. We'll see if anything comes of this. Evan Lambert reporting live for us this afternoon. Evan, thank you. Turning now to the latest on the war in Ukraine. This new battlefield video from the Wall Street Journal shows the frantic choices one Russian soldier is making while surrendering after a Ukrainian drone dropped explosives on his comrades in Bakhmut. Wow, the attacks persisted for hours. Desperate to survive, you see that soldier there using hand gestures to even surrender to the pilots before being guided across enemy lines by the same drones that killed his entire unit. Here to talk to me more on this ongoing war is News Nation's senior national security analyst, retired Air Force Lieutenant General Richard Newton. General Newton, you and I have talked about different aspects of this war in the past before. There's a lot to talk about here, but the long-anticipated Ukrainian counteroffensive against Russian invaders is now underway. What do you believe right now are Ukraine's objectives?
Well, it certainly has kicked off, Nick, and it's a tough slog. Battles are going on principally out in the eastern part of the Donbass region. We saw that Russian soldier there in the trench, and I know we'll talk about him in just a second. But you've got Ukrainian forces are doing probing maneuvers, making very, very, very small advances, if you will, against deeply rooted Russian positions all along that border between Russia and Ukraine, principally in the Donbass region. And so it's much like, you've got 21st century warfare meeting World War I trench warfare. And so I think we're in for a long haul here. It's going to be a long summer. It's going to be a difficult fight. There really hasn't been any progress. Of course, the offensive only kicked off just a few days or so ago, nor would we expect that, but no breakthroughs at the moment.
Oh, well, General Newton, it's been more than a year since the invasion of Ukraine began. News about the battles have been few and far between. Why so little about the progress until now?
Well, I think a lot of it on both sides, both on the Ukraine side and certainly on the Russia side, have conducted their own what I would call information operations in terms of trying to get the message out and frankly trying to own the message. It's very difficult sometimes to really understand, certainly in the public arena, what really is happening because you've got Russian forces v. Ukrainian forces engaged, and then you have Ukrainian forces are pushing back the Russian forces and so forth. And both sides, both Russia and Ukraine, will try to try to secure some modicum of success in their announcements and so forth. But I think what you're going to see now moving forward is you're going to see a lot of focus on that Donbass area, that eastern part of Russia, where there's going to really be very close contact. I don't expect a major breakthrough at any point. The key to this, though, Nick, is going to be, in my view, is going to be Russian morale. If the Ukrainians are able to get the Russian forces out of their trenched positions, out of their command posts and so forth, out of their command and control centers, and have some breakdown along the line several miles in where Ukraine has yet to really engage the Russian forces, I think you'll see some significant movement. But up until that point, it's going to be very, very difficult, very slow, and then you'll have both sides trying to gain, the upper hand in terms of the information warfare piece of this.
General Newton, I'm glad you said that because I've got less than a minute left, and I want to talk to you about that soldier that we saw. I won't pretend to understand his level of desperation, but I can't imagine a situation where it's comfortable for him to think about leaving his comrades, and that's exactly what he's doing because you and I both know that's something we swear an oath to not do when we're in the trenches of war, that you've got my six and I've got yours. What's happening in this situation when you see this happening right now?
It's extraordinarily compelling. And, he's in a position where he can't go back because if he goes back, his Russian authorities will probably, kill him. It's difficult for him to go forward because it's the unknown of him facing the enemy, and these drones are tracking him. He's trying to communicate with the drones, and he does so effectively to say that he's trying to surrender. All the while, Nick, he's crawling over his dead Russian comrades, taking their water, taking a small cigarette just to survive. This is an extraordinary story of survival, and you've got to hand it both to him as well as the Ukrainian operators of those drones and the Ukrainian authorities just to bring him in. They captured him. He is a prisoner of war. But in the end of the day, this is 21st century warfare with these drones meeting World War I trench warfare. And we're seeing this live out of this extraordinary Wall Street Journal video.
General Newton, one last quick question for you before my producer jumps down my throat here. When you see this happen, how does this help in the information warfare when we've captured one of these Russian soldiers and they're sitting there, and you and I both talked about how it's a morale thing. All warfare is all about morale. What does this do?
Well, it certainly speaks to the position that the Russian soldier is in because he's defeated. You see the death on the battlefield, but you also see just a little bit of a compassion on the Ukrainian side, not to try to go out and kill him, just as if they would have in normal warfare contact. And so it's a battle for the information warfare as well. But at the end of the day, I believe this Russian soldier, at some point in his life, he's going to be able to go back to his family and be a father and a husband again.
Lieutenant General Richard Newton, thank you so much again, sir, for your time.
Thank you, Nick.
Turning to the miracle in the jungle, NewsNation is learning that a group of children who survived 40 days in the Amazon rainforest alone were fleeing violence in their hometown. Now, the father of the two boys says an armed military group was recruiting in their small town in southern Colombia so he sent their kids away. Joining me now is News Nation's Brooke Schaefer. Brooke, the miracle now seems to have had a tragic event that precipitated it.
Yeah, every detail still just even more awful than the ones we've already known. Those miracle children, we're now learning, were apparently trying to escape some violence at home. In a new interview reported on by the New York Times, the father of two of those four kids, Manuel Ranoque, claims an armed group had taken over their town in southern Colombia. Fearing the kids would be recruited to join that group, relatives reportedly tried to fly them to safety, but their plane crashed in the Amazon jungle. The kids, just 13, 9, 5, and 1, lived off of flowers and plants for 40 days. They hid in tree trunks before being rescued. Those kids are still in the hospital today. Their father, of course, eager to reunite with them.
I want to recover them so I can give him whatever he wants. Because he tells me he wants meat, he wants chicken, he wants a car, he wants a cell phone. So I'll give all the children all that they want and deserve.
The dad also said earlier this week he has been threatened by a dissident group of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of Colombia. The group is involved in drug trafficking and is known for forcibly recruiting indigenous people. He said he still fears for his safety and the safety of those kids. That dad has called on the Colombian government to help them. Nick?
Brooke, this story continues to shake me, and I know it shakes so many people. You just think about those kids in the forest. And I just go back to the miracle around keeping an 11-month alive and healthy for 40 days, Brooke. Wow. Oh, Brooke Schaefer, thank you so much. Here's a look at some of the other top stories we're tracking right now. Today, we're learning that 42 migrants were bused to Los Angeles from Texas. An LA City Council member says they were dropped off at Union Station Wednesday afternoon. A local charity says the migrants spent 23 hours on the bus with no food or water. Texas Governor Greg Abbott says he sent them to where they wanted to go because California declares itself a sanctuary for immigrants. Right now, they're being helped by city agencies. Well, the Southern Baptist Convention voted to expel two churches for having female pastors. The organization voted 9-1 to kick out California's Saddleback Church and Fern Creek Church in Louisville, Kentucky. There will have to be like a second vote next year to make it a permanent move for the church. Well, a former Starbucks regional manager will be given $25.6 million for being fired after two black men were arrested at a Philadelphia location back in 2018. You may remember this story. Well, Shannon Phillips says she and other white employees were unfairly punished and that Starbucks used her as a scapegoat. Last night, one lawyer told News Nation's Dan Abrams what he believes is happening inside the mind of juries handling these types of cases.
$25 million in punitive damages shows you this was a jury that was pretty angry at Starbucks.
Yeah, they really are. And I think, a lot of it comes down to, do juries feel like the employees have been treated fairly? And I think that was a problem here, that they felt like this poor woman was the one who was hung out to dry for, misconduct that happened at a lower level.
Starbucks denies any wrongdoing. Now, the company said she was fired so they could hire a regional manager with more experience in crisis situations. Well, up next on News Nation Now, a former Harvard employee is accused of, get this, stealing brains, skin, and other body parts to sell. News Nation is digging into the legal impacts this could have for the Ivy League school. And still ahead, a medical breakthrough involving human embryos could help research into genetic disorders. All that and more coming up on News Nation Now on News Nation. News for all America.
Third-party candidate and activist Cornel West, tonight on CUOMO.
Beach Defense from Neutrogena. More protection, more sun, more joy. The sun care brand used most by dermatologists for themselves and their families. Vital protection for all your days in the sun with Neutrogena Beach Defense.
If you've had thyroid eye disease for years and the pain in your eyes burns like a red-hot chili pepper, it's not too late for another treatment option. To learn more, visit treatted.com. That's treat, TED.com.
fungus is tough to kill, and it can spread.
It's time to start using FungiNail. Maximum strength FungiNail is so powerful it cures and prevents fungal infections. Plus, it has aloe and tea tree oil to restore skin health. Say goodbye to toe fungus with FungiNail.
So I know you and George were struggling with the possibility of having to move. How's that going?
We found a way to make bathing safer with a Kohler walk-in bath.
A Kohler walk-in bath provides a secure, spa-like bathing experience in the comfort of your own home. A Kohler walk-in bath has one of the lowest step-ins of any walk-in bath for easy entry and exit. It features textured surfaces, convenient handrails for more stability, and a wide door for easier mobility. Kohler walk-in baths include 2 hydrotherapies, Whirlpool jets, and our patented bubble massage to help soothe sore muscles in your feet, legs, and back. A Kohler certified installer will install everything quickly and conveniently in as little as a day.
It made us feel completely comfortable in our home. And yes, it's affordable. I wish we would have looked into it sooner.
I think I might look into one myself.
Stay in the home and life you've built for years to come. Call 1-800-986-1748 to receive $1,000 off your Kohler walk-in bath and take advantage of our low monthly payment financing.
Life is full of special moments. Some you look forward to, and some you don't. That's why we have a home service plan from 210 Home Buyers Warranty to protect our home. When our old AC unit broke down, it was quick and easy to make a claim online. And with their network of contractors, 210 made the repairs fast and easy. 210 protects our home and our budget, so we can focus on the moments that matter most. Call 855-210-4299 or visit 2-10.com today.
There are more identity threats than you realize. LifeLock alerts you and works to fix problems with a dedicated restoration specialist. Go to lifelock.com.
Attention firefighters, first responders, military base personnel, and airport workers. Listen closely to this important legal announcement. Have you been exposed to chemical-based firefighting foam? If so, you may be entitled to a substantial cash award without going to court. For decades, aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, has been used to extinguish liquid fuel fires. A scientific study has now shown that the chemicals used to make AFFF are highly toxic to humans and can cause a significant risk of developing several types of cancer, including kidney, pancreatic, thyroid, prostate, bladder, testicular, liver, or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. If you or a loved one are a firefighter, first responder, airport worker, or member of the military that has used firefighting foam and has been diagnosed with cancer, please call the Negligence Network to file your claim today. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call the Negligence Network to see if you're eligible for substantial compensation. Call 1-800-500-1636. That's 1-800-500-1636.
Works hard at hour 1 and twice as hard when you take it again the next day. So Betty can be the
barcode beat conductor.
Go, Betty! Let's be more than our allergies. Z's the day with Zyrtec.
Hey, also, I just downloaded the Experian app because I wanted to check my FICO score, but it does so much more. This thing shows you your FICO score, you can get your credit card recommendations, and it shows you ways to save money.
Do so much more than get your FICO score. Download the Experian app now.
Welcome back to NewsNation Now. Harvard Medical School is at the center of shocking new allegations. The school's former morgue manager is accused of stealing and selling human body parts that had been donated for research. The medical school's dean described it as an abhorrent betrayal. NewsNation's Sloan Glass has been looking through the unbelievable federal indictment. And Sloan, what are you learning this afternoon about something that we both can agree is absolutely reprehensible?
Yeah, Nick, unbelievable is right. The U.S. Attorney's Office said it best, some crimes just defy understanding. We are talking about a multi-year, multi-state operation that included the stealing, selling, and transportation of human parts. And it all starts in Harvard University's morgue. Former Harvard morgue manager Cedric Lodge, his wife, and 5 others have been charged in connection with the alleged scheme. Prosecutors say from 2018 to March of this year, Cedric Lodge stole parts from cadavers and dissected the bodies before their scheduled cremation. The bodies had been donated to Harvard's medical school. The parts included heads, brains, skin, and bones. The indictment says at times, Lodge allowed buyers to come to the morgue and choose which parts they wanted. On other occasions, Lodge shipped the remains. Payments for the shipments were tracked on PayPal memos that read, head number 7, and brains. Some of the payments are a couple $100s. Other buyers spent $40,000 over month-long periods buying remains. And according to prosecutors, some resold them. On Wednesday, Lodge, his wife, and 3 others were indicted on charges of conspiracy and interstate transportation of stolen goods. 2 others had been previously charged in connection to the alleged crimes. Now, Harvard put out a lengthy statement that reads in part, "It is particularly egregious that so many of the victims here volunteered to allow their remains to be used to educate medical professionals and advance the interests of science and healing. For them and their families to be taken advantage of in the name of profit is appalling." If convicted, Lodge and his wife could face up to 15 years in prison, Nick.
Sloan, I have to ask you, though, right now, I know you're still pouring through this indictment. What's being done for the families of the deceased who may have been victims of these crimes?
Right, and they are victims, the families as well. Harvard has set up a specific resource page for donor families. They sent out letters to the next of kin, but some people may not know that this happened to their family members. Lodge is accused of stealing and selling the parts after they were used for medical purposes and before the cremation.
Wow, Sloan Glass. Wow, that's just a tough one, Sloan. Sloan, thank you so much. I want to bring in criminal defense attorney and legal analyst Bernarda Villalona. Bernarda, you and I are usually talking about different things centered on crimes where someone had a weapon or something like this. The weapon this time may have been trust. Does Harvard have liability here?
Yes, I can see families actually suing Harvard because these employees were exactly that, employees. So these people, these families, they trusted Harvard when they decided to actually send the family remains to them, and they expected that it was going to be used for science, for medical purposes, but not that someone was going to take those belongings, take those body parts, and just sell them for greed. And who knows where those body parts are and what they were being used for. So you got to think in terms of the family, what they're thinking about, be like, where can my family member be at this point?
And Bernarda, I'm just sitting here thinking, and when we look at this story, how is there no oversight in something like this? Do you believe that that's part of the reason why a family may want to go after the university itself?
Exactly. And that's the key question right there. But then you have to think from Harvard's side. Would you expect that a person, that a manager at that, would engage in such type of conduct? This is something that really blows my mind when you think about it. You know, how can somebody be capable of doing such an act?
Bernarda, this is also something that seems like it had been a multi-state, multi-year investigation. So it appears that prosecutors and investigators came with all their T's crossed and I's dotted. In a situation like this, Bernarda, because I believe that you've told me before in the past that if you can turn one, that usually the dominoes start to fall. Is that what you expect investigators to do in this particular case?
So I believe it is possible, but you have to think that at this point that the federal government, the U.S. Attorney's Office, they've been able to bring an indictment without having turned anyone. But then again, the burden is so small and so low when you're talking about a grand jury indictment. I'm curious to see whether the federal government would actually turn any one of them. But as you can see, that this scheme is so broad that it could be possible that all the players didn't even know each other. So you'll have to pick and pluck from different states which ones you would decide you want to flip. And even if it's worth flipping, because in some cases it's so heinous that you're like, you know what, I want each and every one of you to pay for what you did. So I'm not willing to offer a lower plea in this case for your cooperation.
Bernarda, I have every reason to believe we will hear more about this as time goes on. Bernarda Villalona, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you.
Still ahead on NewsNation Now, a breakthrough on embryo research could help doctors better understand genetic disorders. And a Nevada family who says they saw a UFO stands by their story despite the intense backlash they're getting. We'll hear from them next. Right now, you're taking a live look out of Denver, Colorado, where the Denver Nuggets are celebrating their first ever NBA Finals win during today's championship parade. We're tracking the excitement, all that and more as NewsNation Now continues. NewsNation. News for all America.
Pepsi Complete works fast and lasts for powerful heartburn relief. With an antacid that starts working in seconds and an acid reducer that relieves occasional heartburn all day. Other brands can't do both. Pepsi Complete.
If you're smart enough to know a good wireless deal when you see one, listen up. And if you're not, we'll give you a minute. Smart enough now? Good. At Consumer Cellular, we're all about transparency. We deliver premium wireless coverage for up to half of what the largest carriers charge. How do we do it? I'll show you. But you've got to promise not to tell anyone. I'm just kidding. Tell whoever you want. The truth is, we don't actually own those towers. We just pay to use them. That's how we deliver the exact same coverage as the largest carriers and save you money. And while someone else maintains that great nationwide 5G network, we've got more time to focus on something else. You. Boom! Say hello to one of our 100% US-based customer service call centers. Hi. If you need help or want to make the easy switch, you can call and talk to a real person in Arizona like Danae here.
Yep, I'm definitely a real person, not a robot.
Prove it. Definitely not a robot. Okay, so it's clear. Consumer Cellular offers amazing 5G coverage, backed up by incredible service. But that wouldn't mean much without super low prices. You already know we're up to half as much as the largest carriers. But guess what? AARP members can save even more. Yahoo! Uh-oh. We have the latest phones, but if you want to keep the phone and number you already got, that's fine too. There's no contract, you pay nothing up front, and activation is free. Just give us a call at this number. All right, let's go.
Switch to Consumer Cellular now and get unlimited talk and text with a flexible data plan starting at only $20 a month. And for a limited time, get $20 off the ZMAX 11. Just mention promo code Great Price.
At Lovesac, we design furniture for life, real life, messy life. Now, Lovesac Sactionals can be upgraded with Stealth Tech and immersive surround sound by Harman Kardon, upgradable, washable, and guaranteed for life at a Lovesac showroom near you.
Beach Defense from Neutrogena. More protection, more sun, more joy. The sun care brand used most by dermatologists for themselves and their families. Vital protection for all your days in the sun with Neutrogena Beach Defense.
With Allegra, allergies don't hold us back. Allegra starts working 2 times faster than Claritin. And unlike Zyrtec, it won't make us drowsy, so you can live your greatness. And Allegra Hives works from the inside to relieve itching and reduce hives for 24 hours.
Do you listen to the TV on high volume or have trouble hearing conversations? Then you would benefit from hearing aids. Don't waste thousands on expensive hearing aids when you can get MD Hearing's revolutionary Neo hearing aids for just $299 a pair. Don't be fooled by higher-priced hearing aids. The Neo is a true hearing aid, not an amplifier. With rechargeable technology, many customers say is superior to more expensive models. Call now and get not 1 but 2 Neo hearing aids for just $299. Plus, we'll add in a portable charging dock and ship your order absolutely free. The Neo is nearly invisible with its tiny in-the-ear canal design. And you can get 2 Neo hearing aids with a 45-day risk-free trial, free shipping, and free lifetime US-based support for only $299. So call now.
800-437-7500. Again, that's 800-437-7500.
Welcome back to NewsNation Now. We're taking a live look right now out of Denver, Colorado, where the Denver Nuggets are celebrating their first ever NBA Finals win during today's championship parade. You'll remember they defeated the Miami Heat in 4 games. This is, of course, their first win. And it looks like they're getting lots of love from the folks there in downtown Denver. We, of course, will continue to follow this story and bring you more later in the afternoon. But right now, we need to turn to breaking news. I'm Nick Smith, and we've been following the story all day. We now know the names of the 2 Americans found dead in their hotel rooms near Los Cabos. The Baja California Sur Attorney General's office identified the victims as John Heathcote and Abby Lutz. Police believe the pair died from gas inhalation, but the exact gas is still to be determined. Now, last October, 3 Americans were found dead from carbon monoxide poisoning at a rented apartment in an upscale neighborhood. Back in 2018, a gas leak in a water heater killed an American couple and their 2 children in Tulum. Of course, our own Brian Entin will continue to follow that story and bring us more here on News Nation throughout the day. A possible medical breakthrough, scientists in the UK created synthetic human embryos using stem cells. This groundbreaking advance could bypass the need for eggs or sperm. The structures don't have a beating heart or the beginnings of a brain, but they include cells that would form the placenta. Now, scientists say it could also aid research into genetic disorders, but get this, the breakthrough is raising serious ethical and legal questions. The lab-grown embryos fall outside current legislation in the UK and most countries. Turning now to the growing mystery of a UFO in Las Vegas. A family is standing by their story that they did indeed see non-human beings in their backyard following a bright flash in the sky. We first told you about this sighting a week ago. Since then, the story has gained national attention about their possible alien encounter. NewsNation correspondent Nancy Liu is live from Las Vegas. Nancy, you spoke to some of the family off camera, and I have to ask you, is the truth out there?
We hope so. We certainly hope so. But this is the home. That is the backyard where a family insists they had a frightening encounter with large, non-human creatures last month.
They're shiny eyes and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
I spoke with the teenager heard on that now famous 911 call, who has also surfaced on social media talking in detail about large aliens in his backyard, creatures that were also said to be spotted by his father and younger brother. But for now, the family is not doing interviews, and they're pretty much in hiding. They are scared and claim there have been serious threats against them for allegedly perpetrating a hoax. But they have continued to stand by their story, and they do have supporters, including a local podcaster who's a former police officer.
Something happened over there. I honestly believe something happened. They saw something. What it was, I wasn't there. I have no idea. This is the most bizarre investigation that I've ever handled. But for people to come out and blatantly say the family's lying, what is your evidence they're lying? It's such a fantastic story, the way they talk about it, that it almost like it can't even be made up.
The claims of a UFO, aliens, and military activity, all viewed in a different light since Pentagon whistleblower Dave Grush talked exclusively to NewsNation, alleging a covert crash retrieval program of non-human craft. As for the greenish streak in the sky captured on police body cam, the American Meteor Society tells us it was a meteor, probably the size of a basketball or a beach ball, and it was well over 100 miles north of Las Vegas. There were 21 reported sightings that night from California, Nevada, and Utah. However, this claim of an alien sighting has taken on a life of its own, with most people waiting for evidence of either proof or something to disprove whatever happened here.
Nancy, I'm going to tell you the truth now.
Nick?
I don't want to see it for myself. I'd rather hear somebody else tell about it. But, you know, I have to tell you, though, Nancy, it reminds me of Balloon Boy and how people were like, wow, did this really happen? Do you believe it, Nancy? Now, you've had a chance to speak to them. What do you think?
I'm waiting for evidence, and there's nothing to disprove what this family is saying, but I want to see the proof. And, you know, and this is why a lot of people are afraid to come out when they do have alien encounters. It's because that they're not going to be believed, and that's why this family is in hiding now. And
Nancy,
they say they're afraid.
You are absolutely right. And you know what? I'm going to check myself on that because they deserve the benefit of the doubt. Nancy Liu, thank you so much, and stay safe. And if you do see an alien, please take a selfie.
I'll have my phone ready.
All right, Nancy, talk to you soon. Up next, NewsNation Now, you are being pressured to tip more. Did you notice that? And I'm not talking about people at sit-down restaurants. I'm talking about every time you buy something simple, they turn that iPad around and ask you how much you want to give, not if you want to give. We'll ask our panel about it next. And watch this. Body cam video of a sheriff's deputy chasing and trying to pull over another police officer. What? What led to this intense moment and what happened next? All that's coming up on NewsNation Now. You're watching NewsNation, news for all America.
I was stuck. Unresolved depression symptoms were in my way. I needed more from my antidepressant. Vraylar helped give it a lift.
Adding Vraylar to an antidepressant is clinically proven to help relieve overall depression symptoms better than an antidepressant alone. And in Vraylar clinical studies, most saw no substantial impact on weight. Elderly dementia patients have increased risk of death or stroke, report unusual changes in behavior or suicidal thoughts. Antidepressants can increase these in children and young adults, report fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, as these may be life-threatening, or uncontrolled muscle movements, which may be permanent. High blood sugar, which can lead to coma or death, weight gain, and high cholesterol may occur. Movement dysfunction and restlessness are common side effects. Stomach and sleep issues, dizziness, increased appetite, and fatigue are also common. Side effects may not appear for several weeks.
I didn't have to change my treatment. I just gave it a lift.
Ask about Vraylar and learn how AbbVie can help you save.
Get help reaching your goals with JP Morgan Wealth Plan, a new tool in the Chase mobile app. Use it to set and track your goals, big and small, and see how changes you make today could help put them within reach. From your first big move to retiring poolside and the other goals along the way, Wealth Plan can help you get there. JP Morgan Wealth Management.
What's this?
That's for Pepper.
You keep dog food in your fridge?
It's not dog food, it's fresh pet. Real meat, real veggies.
It's dog food.
You were so right about her.
I have patients who think they've tried everything for their sweat. That's when I recommend Carpe. Carpe specializes in effective sweat solutions at an affordable price.
Nothing worked until I found Carpe.
This makes my life so much less slippery.
Get dry today with limited time free shipping at mycarpe.com.
My mental health was much better, but I struggled with uncontrollable movements called TD, tardive dyskinesia. TD can be caused by some mental health meds.
And it's unlikely to improve without treatment. I felt like my movements were in the spotlight.
Ingrezza is a prescription medicine to treat adults with TD movements. Ingrezza is different. It's the simple, once-daily treatment proven to reduce TD that's #1 prescribed. People taking Ingrezza can stay on their current dose of most mental health meds. Ingrezza 80 milligram is proven to reduce TD movements in 7 out of 10 people. Don't take Ingrezza if you're allergic to any of its ingredients. Ingrezza may cause serious side effects, including sleepiness. Don't drive, operate heavy machinery, or do other dangerous activities until you know how Ingrezza affects you. Other serious side effects include potential heart rhythm problems and abnormal movements.
It's nice. People focus more on me.
Ask your doctor about #1 prescribed once daily Ingrezza. Learn how you could pay as little as $0 at Ingrezza.com.
Who did you let down today? Your wife? Your kids? Well, how about yourself? Take a look in the mirror. If you're tired of your drug and alcohol problem, you need to fix the problem, and right now, before you hurt or kill yourself, or worse yet, somebody else. Call the addiction specialist now at the Reset Addiction Treatment Helpline. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We'll find you the right treatment regardless of your financial situation. When you call right now, you'll speak to a recovering addict who understands what you're going through right now. Let us help you break your addiction to drug and alcohol before it's too late. This call is completely confidential and free. So take 5 minutes of your time and call us right now. We're here answering the phone. I promise it'll change your life.
Call 800-431-6882. That's 800-431-6882. Again, 800-431-6882.
Welcome back to NewsNation Now. The White House's latest war on junk fees got us talking. Where else besides concert and airline tickets are our wallets getting squeezed? iPad checkouts with that inevitable gratuity screen immediately came to mind. A growing number of businesses have added the option to tips regardless of the service, even in some cases at self-checkout machines. But it turns out those prompts are actually making us tip more. A study found that business owners who set higher suggested tip amounts on their machines did, in fact, get more money in tips. Researchers say the prompts also had little to no impact on customer satisfaction. So let's unpack all of this with my panel. Personal finance expert Ted Jenkins and radio host Ryan Gorman. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, guys. Listen, Ryan, we've all been rolling our eyes at this tip system when they turn that iPad around at us, but it turns out it actually is working. Is this
who I'm supposed to be? tipping. So, of course, I'm going to tip. What am I going to do? Give her or him nothing? And then I got to look at their disappointed face while I'm standing there. I mean, of course, that's not going to happen. So that's why they're getting more tips. It's working out well for them.
And, you know, Ryan, I have to agree with you there because I feel the pressure because I think most people think, well, guys don't tip. And I'm like, well, I can't be the guy who doesn't tip. So you sit there and they're looking at you like, they're leaning in. I mean, they're giving you that death stare, you know.
Come on.
Exactly. Ted, does this system make it harder for consumers to know that they're actually spending and keep track of how much they're spending or what the price of things actually should be?
Well, the problem is people don't even read their credit card bills anymore, let alone look at the tip that they give at the checkout counter. So that's a real problem. It's why people are $1 trillion in credit card debt and why tips are up 20% from a year ago. So yes, it shows the number, but what a lot of people don't understand is if you tip $3 a day, that's $90 a month. That's more than $1,000 a year. That's a Roth IRA contribution. People don't think that way when they check out of the tip out.
Well, experts point out that it's
no, I don't care. I don't care.
Oh, you don't care about that? Why not?
You can put me in debt. You could put me in debt. I don't want the awkward interaction. I don't want to be judged by the person standing there saying, this guy, are you kidding me? He couldn't even do 15%. I'd rather be in credit card debt.
Experts point out that it's no longer a passive decision to not tip, that you have to actively say no when using these machines. And I guess what's making that difference? When did it turn that people became comfortable just putting that out there at us, not even giving us a choice? Ryan.
It seemed to happen all of a sudden. All of a sudden, I'm at these places where I never used to have to tip before, and then there's an option to tip. Like, we never had a conversation about this as a country. I know we have a lot of problems here that we have to deal with. Maybe some people would say they're more important, but this is a societal issue that we have no consensus on. So we don't know who we're supposed to be tipping, how much we're supposed to be tipping them, and it's causing a lot of anxiety for a lot of us out there who have this emotional guilt that we're feeling.
Ted, I know that you said that we're not really keeping track of our spending, but the service workers behind the counter are also feeling that pressure too. The Wall Street Journal spoke with baristas, fast food workers, and gas station attendants who all said they knew that the new way of asking for tips is just as awkward for them, even if it puts extra money in their pockets. When did this?
Hey, listen, I wonder. I was going to say, I wonder if the Uber guy, is he working on my star rating here? You know, I thought Uber was to get around the tips.
Yeah, no, and I know, like you and I both have been in situations where you're like, I got to leave 5 stars because I don't want to not be afforded a ride when I want to ride. When did tipping become this uncomfortable thing for everyone involved? Those giving the tips and those receiving the tips, Ted?
I think the moment that they started putting those numbers in front of you and said it's either 20 or 25 or 30%, it basically creates this opt-out situation. You don't want to opt out. Yeah, you don't want somebody to mess up your order. You don't want somebody to feel uncomfortable. So, of course, that guilt is going to kick in. It changed when the software company said, we're going to give you a device to get people to say yes.
One more question, guys. Ted, I want to get your answer to this, and then Ryan, I'll jump over to you immediately. Workers reported that they've noticed trends in who tips and who doesn't. Chatty folks like us tend to tip more, and the younger the person is, the less likely they are to tip. What do you make of that, guys? Because I have to believe you guys are just like me. You're over-tipping every time you go in there. Ted.
Look, younger people are broke. That's why they're not tipping as much. And people like you and me, when we're chatty, we get all excited. We like the person, so we feel bad, and we want to give them some money.
Ryan?
If I'm that person who's behind the counter, I am going to make you feel I am going to stare right at you until I'm going to, eyes right there. Put down 25%. You know you're going to do it. Do 25%. The other thing, real quick, when it comes to the math, if you've got a place where they figure it all out for me, I'll tip 30%. I mean, as long as I don't have to do any math, I don't do any adding, subtracting, it's all there for me, done, even better. I'll give you a bigger tip.
You know what? I'm going bar hopping with both of you guys. Ted Jenkins and Ryan Gorman, thank you for joining us this afternoon, guys. Have a good one. Well, up next on NewsNation Now, we showed you this video earlier. A police officer pulled over by one of his own. Well, their intense exchange and what led to this chase after the break.
This is not just a pharmacy. This is living the care in healthcare. Walgreens.
If you've had
had thyroid eye disease for years, and your inflamed eyes are so watery they need windshield wipers. It's not too late for another treatment option. To learn more, visit treatted.com. That's treat.com.
At SimpliSafe, we designed the #1 rated home security system powered by 24/7 professional monitoring for half the cost of traditional home security. So you stay safe for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Attention firefighters, first responders, military base personnel, and airport workers. Listen closely to this important legal announcement. Have you been exposed to chemical-based firefighting foam? If so, you may be entitled to a substantial cash award without going to court. For decades, aqueous film-forming foam, or AFFF, has been used to extinguish liquid fuel fires. A scientific study has now shown that the chemicals used to make AFFF are highly toxic to humans and can cause a significant risk of developing several types of cancer, including kidney, pancreatic, thyroid, prostate, bladder, testicular, liver, or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. If you or a loved one are a firefighter, first responder, airport worker, or member of the military that has used firefighting foam and has been diagnosed with cancer, please call the Negligence Network to file your claim today. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call the Negligence Network to see if you're eligible for substantial compensation. Call 1-800-500-1636. That's 1-800-500-1636.
At Lovesac, we design furniture for life, real life, messy life. Now, Lovesac Sactionals can be upgraded with Stealth Tech and immersive surround sound by Harman Kardon, upgradable, washable, and guaranteed for life at a Lovesac showroom near you.
Pepsi Complete works fast and lasts for powerful heartburn relief. With an antacid that starts working in seconds and an acid reducer that relieves occasional heartburn all day. Other brands can't do both. Pepsi Complete.
Don't wish. Don't hope. Don't dream. No. Plan. See the steps it takes to get it done right, and follow them. At Avis, we rent cars, unlike anyone else rents cars. Because for 75 years, we've only had one plan. To make sure you keep yours.
Here's your parachute.
Packed it myself.
Certain it's okay?
Mm-hmm.
Are you for imprint certain?
Certainty matters. Like the certainty of congratulating coworkers or saying thank you for being a customer with promotional products from 4imprint. Our expert team is dedicated to making your satisfaction a certainty.
Packed it myself.
Land the perfect products at 4imprint.com.
4imprint, for certain.
That's for you to decide, but you should know the facts.
I'm not looking to tell people what to believe or what to think. I am here to tell you two things.
CUOMO.
Boy, I hesitate to say this, but I agree with Chris Cuomo. You don't have to like the outcomes, but we have to trust the outcomes. Let's talk about all of it.
This is the most in-depth and actually thoughtful conversation on this topic I've ever had.
So what do you think?
Vet it, weigh it, be a free agent.
CUOMO, weeknights at 8/7 Central on NewsNation.
This is a story I told you about right before the break. Out of Florida, an Orlando police officer is arrested and relieved of duty after fleeing a traffic stop. Take a look at this. The Seminole County Sheriff's Office says Officer Alexander Shauni was traveling at 80 miles per hour in a 45-mile-per-hour zone in a marked Orlando Police Department vehicle. Now, body camera video shows him initially refusing to stop for the sheriff's deputy. Take a look.
I am going into work, my man. Why are you trying to pull me over as I'm going into work?
Because you're going 80 and a 45.
I am going into work.
Okay, what are you going to work for?
What does it look like I am dressed for? What does it look like I am dressed for?
My name is Deputy Hilton, and they see your driver's license.
No.
The officer was arrested on charges of reckless driving, fleeing, and eluding a law enforcement officer with active sirens and resisting an officer. He was also relieved of duty pending investigations by the Sheriff's Office and Internal Affairs. There's much more news on News Nation. We're following the latest developments on the two Americans found dead in a Mexican resort hotel, plus a new candidate in the Republican field for president. Can it shake up the race? Coming up on News Nation in just 1 minute. You're watching News Nation Now, news for all America.